All right, let me just grab TikTok and we'll get this party started. Doing things a little bit differently today, but that's the way you have to do it sometimes. All right, let's go live. Let's go Homeschool Breakfast. All right, let's invite the people in. Go live. 3, 2, 1. We are live. What is going on, TikTok? You are here with YouTube. It is a beautiful day in the sunny south, but we are doing this indoors today. My amazing little daughter is here with me, and she's eating breakfast. We got the strawberries on tap, ready to go. There it is, baby Aubs. All right, got more berries coming your way. And Aubrey's going to eat breakfast, and we are going to have a little talk. We are going to do a little talk on homeschooling, and I'll be here to answer any questions you might have as it relates to homeschooling. But staying on topic, one of the biggest advantages of schooling from home is flexibility. And although you might want to do things one way, often you'll find you have to readjust, recalibrate, and do things a different way. And as you guys know, I stream. I'm using too much memory, so hopefully it doesn't kick me off. As you guys know, I usually stream from outside, but today I am streaming from in the kitchen. And the reason for that is my wife had a rough night of sleep, and she wasn't feeling her best. And our schedules, our homeschool, is always flexible. And what's up, Melissa? And because of that, here we are, and I am having breakfast with my beautiful daughter and talking to you fine folks. So with homeschooling, you really do have the ultimate flexibility. And we covered this a little bit yesterday. Yeah, Nicole's doing well. She's she's just sitting on the couch. The people are concerned about you. But we covered this a little bit yesterday, but with homeschooling, you have such amazing flexibility. And the example I gave was mathematics, right? Because it's such a concrete, obvious example. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me hook it up. You want more berries? Hold on. Let me get you more berries. Say, Dad, you're slacking on your berry game. All right, let me give you more. Here's more berries. All right. Here's more red strawberries. See, every opportunity is a learning opportunity. So when you have an 11-month-old, for example, I always use a language-rich environment. So, and what that looks like is really the first year of your child's life. And this is why I tell people you start homeschooling from the day your children are born. But from the first year of your child's life, I essentially narrate their life. And I've had a lot of success with that, with the children talking very young. In fact, Aubrey's 11 months old today, actually. Happy almost 1-year birthday. And she has quite an extensive vocabulary. So, it starts simple. So you're holding your daughter and you walk over to the fridge and you say, all right, we're walking over to the fridge. I'm going to reach out and grab the handle. Oh, I'm reaching out and grabbing the handle. I just grabbed the handle. Now pull. Oh, I can't pull it. Can you help me? And you put her hand on the door. All right, ready? Pull. And you pull to open. Wow, Aubrey, you opened the fridge. All right, and I've been doing this since she was 1 week old. And because of that exposure, right, and life in context, it really helps with the development of early childhood speech. You have to think that their minds are like little sponges, and they absorb everything you say. Do you want more, or are you all done? Someone at the door, babe? Someone's at the door. Sorry for the noise. You can see who that is. Be a spark on the algorithm to assist and find yourself via TikTok. What's a spark on the algorithm? Sorry for the noise. My dogs are going nuts in the other room. Trying to stream here, dogs. So, homeschooling starts at day one. You have the ultimate flexibility. And just saying hi. We love your homeschooling program. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for being here today. I'm doing a unusual stream where I'm hanging out with my daughter here, Baby Obs. That's you, right? Who's that pretty girl? Yeah, you see yourself, right? The people are looking at Baby Obs. All right, you see yourself in the phone? So, the last minute challenge, you take one friend and write them a letter as if they, I mean, I like the idea of writing a letter. I don't know. I guess if that's your thing. Thank you. Yeah, she's, are you done? You're all done? Yeah. You feeling better? All right. Come here, girl. Ready? So I take the buckle and I push the button and unbuckle. All right, can I pick you up? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Up, 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 up. Okay, come say hi to the people, Obs. So this is Baby Aubrey, and we've been hanging out this morning. But it really, that same concept of narrating the first year of your child's life, it doesn't really change as they get older. You just, you change what you're teaching. They hear you, Ms. May. Want to wave hi? Wave hi to the camera. Show them how you wave. Are you being shy? Can you show them how you wave? Ah! Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, tomorrow has lots of hope. The future is so bright. I mean, if you think about it, we went from 3 million homeschoolers to 11 million in just 2 years. So that is quite a rapid increase in homeschooling. Say hi. Boom. And that's really indicative of people becoming fed up with the system and taking personal responsibility. And when you get large numbers of people taking personal responsibility, educating their children in a way that's in accordance with their values and their morality, well, that's how the world becomes a better place. It's not from politicians. It's from lots of people taking responsibility. Oh, you are making this tough, Miss May. Ready? Can I get your belly? Actually, hold on one second. I'm pretty sure I did. Okay. Yeah, girl. You want to take her? No. Thanks, man. Who was at the door?
An exterminator.
Oh, okay.
He's doing our monthly spray.
All right. So anyway, so really that concept that you're always the educator and you have flexibility, it stays true throughout your childhood. And, you know, when your child becomes 2 years old, it might become helping out around the house and following directions. So maybe when you're cooking, you get a stool, right? So your child could stand up at that stool and they could assist you with the cooking. And you say, pass me the cheese, right? Pass me the pepperoni, whatever it might be. All right, now we're going to mix. Can you wait? And you get your child to wait. All right, can you mix the flour together? And you get them to mix it. And you just really continue with that concept as they get older. So when your child's 3, maybe your child will ask you for whatever. I'll use a simple example, Cheerios, right? And then you turn Cheerios into mathematics, and you pull out the Cheerios. You know, don't use the generic Cheerios; they suck. But Honey-O's, you know, like an organic brand. And what you do is you say, "All right, well, I've given you how many Cheerios do you want? How many Cheerios do you want?" And they're like, 5. You give them 5 Cheerios, right? Well, then you say, "Oh, what happens if I minus 1? I take 1 away. Now how many do you have?" And they're looking at it, and you do the finger thing, right? Well, count them out, right? Or you do the Cheerio thing, count them out. And you really just embed education into what you're already doing in life, and just always continue that education. And then, yes, when they get older, you start to get into more formal stuff, right? So you start to get into, all right, now we're doing handwriting, or now we're doing your letters and ABCs and stuff like that. But ultimately, if you keep that mindset, then it never really changes, right? I talk a lot on here about the unschooling. Well, what you do is, as your children start to have interest of their own, well, you say, okay, well, you have this interest. You know, there's this cool thing you can do with it, right? Like, oh, you really like cars. Well, why don't we build a car? What do you mean build a car? And then you do a little research. They can even assist with it. And you get them. There's companies that have a monthly subscription in which they send you little parts of a mechanical car every month. And then they actually guide the children into engineering the cars and coding them so that they can drive the car. So it's really great educational opportunities, but just from following the interest of your children. Bear Mini Mama 5, happy birthday. That's awesome. And another great American mom and modern day Rosie the Riveter, as I like to call them, because whereas in the past our enemies were foreign, you know, the biggest threat to the future of our children, right, which is what we all care about, is really subversive. It's how they've taken over our education system, how they infiltrate cartoons, right, which is why certain entities are so threatened by the Tuttle twins daring to put out a cartoon. Like, oh man, imagine children learning about basic American governance and free market economic theory. I mean, what could go wrong, right? But that's what we're dealing with. So the threats are subversive, and it's moms of 5 like Bear Mini Mom and Melissa, the traveling mom of 7, right? It's these people that are ultimately going to build a better future. So you have the flexibility with the homeschooling, and you just keep building on it and doing that unschooling as we discussed. And that might start with your child liking the cars, and then you have them engineer a toy car, learn the coding, and do the coding for that car. Well, maybe at one point, and I've worked with a family that has done this, you actually buy a clunker. I worked with a family that bought a car for under $1,000, and then the father and his 8-year-old boy proceeded to spend the next year fixing the car up together, right? So there's so much you can do just by following that interest and learning real life skills. And then when you're teaching children skills, right? When you're teaching them skills, because it only takes one skill to free a man. So when you're teaching them car mechanics, when you're teaching them engineering, when you're teaching them coding or the basics of carpentry or videography or any of these skills, well, that's something they can carry with them throughout their entire life, that they know that they can always do things with, right? If you are confident in your ability to fix things, you can find work fixing things. And if you have any experience, entrepreneurial experience, you could find your own work fixing things or whatever it might be, right? So we develop skills in our children. We get them entrepreneurial experience. And the funniest thing is when you do that, when you get your children a childhood filled with entrepreneurial experience, a childhood in which they have lots of skills they develop, and then you make them critical thinkers, well, that is a recipe for them being able to find success doing whatever it is that they're doing throughout the rest of their life. They will find their way, they will find their path. Whereas when you think about the public school system and these children are memorizing information, and if they repeat back what the teacher says and they repeat back what the textbook says, then, well, you get good grades. And if you get good enough grades, you get the privilege of taking out $100,000 in student loans and going to college for 4 years and probably majoring in something that doesn't make money, right? So that's the path that the school system wants. Well, we go a different path. We follow the interest of our children, and we use that interest to teach them real skills. So let me see what you guys had to say. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll talk a little bit about what we have going on this week. I need a guide in New Jersey for homeschooling. Yeah, Quay, all you have to do is go to hslda.org. That's the Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org. And they have the paperwork you need to withdraw from public school, but you need make sure you do the paperwork, make sure you get approval. And they also have the regulations that you need to know about in the state of New Jersey. What are the regulations? Well, are there standardized tests your children have to take? Are there certain subject matters that are required? Are there any limitations as to the type of homeschooling you can do? What does that mean? Well, in certain states, it's required that the parent do at least, at minimum, 50% of all instruction, right? In other states, there's a lot of flexibility where you could actually have your co-ops do the majority of the instruction. So it really just depends on the state you live in and what options you have in terms of homeschooling. So New Jersey, you can look that up, right? Once you do that, you want to familiarize yourself with record keeping. What records do we want to keep? We want to keep attendance records, right? Because you have to meet the mandatory course hours required by whatever state you live in, right? So you have to keep attendance records. Say, okay, we met the course hours. You have to document what courses, what subject matter your children covered. You don't have to, but I think it's wise to include significant course materials that you used, any portfolio information, work that your children did, any grades that they received, even if those grades are from you. And then you document all extracurricular activities and things like that, whether that's jobs worked, whether that's museums visited, or anything like that. So you have a record of what your children have done. And by doing all this, you position yourself so that if anyone wants to give you any problems, you'll be just fine. Melissa's birthday this month as well. April crushing. How should I go about fighting my ex in court over homeschool? I want to, and he doesn't in Utah. I'm definitely not an attorney, but if I did need legal advice relating to the area of homeschool, I would visit hslda.org, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. That's what they do. And if you have a child under 5, you get a free membership. If your child is over 5, I think it's like $150 for the year. But the best part about that membership is they actually give you free consultations with their attorneys. So, for example, I have actually done a consultation with HSLDA when I was looking into potential options in terms of setting up a physical, on-the-ground business model for helping people homeschool. So I was actually able to, with my membership, to speak with one of their attorneys about what I'd have to look out for. And, that gets into a lot of things. That gets into homeschool law versus daycare law versus private school law. And, based on the way you structure things, what does your operation fall under the jurisdiction of, right? So it gets into all types of stuff, but they're valuable. They're there. You can use them. I love what you're doing. I bought Cubs to Bears for my daughter. Yeah, absolutely crushing. And make sure you check out the free lesson plans that I make. You can download them off my website. They come with the books, so definitely valuable. We just got a 4-wheeler for free that the boys are having to fix. Yeah, I mean, that's the type of life experience that's very valuable. It's a great life skill, and if they want to run with it, if it's something they really enjoy, there's so many different employment opportunities they can get going that route, and there's so many different entrepreneurial things they can do. I mean, there were 2 homeschool students who moved out to California back when Hummers were the big thing. But the problem with Hummers is that they were so terrible with gas. Well, they actually made an adjustment, an add-on or modification to Hummer engines. So you could bring your Hummer in. This is all they did. They would modify the engines of Hummers, and they would be better on gas, right? So they would save people a lot of money. And these two homeschool students wound up being, I think, 19 years old. They were millionaires just doing this one thing they did with Hummer engines. So there's so much people can do, and it just takes that creative mind to really to develop skills and then to see what your options are. Everyone's crushing. Everyone's crushing. Hopefully we'll settle on something in mediation first. Yes. Well, I mean, the best thing you can do, in all honesty, is try to make it not happen in the courts, right? Because once things get into courts with that stuff, it gets bitter. It gets, the blood-sucking attorneys get involved, and the next thing you know, it's not good. So hopefully you can settle that just out of court, but sometimes that's how it goes. I'm a father trying to schedule an appointment handyman work and homeschool, and was stressing hardcore trying to earn and stick to traditional Abeka. Your advice led me to more peace of mind. I'm glad you're doing well, and yeah, like I said, that was the theme of this whole episode, right? Is that with homeschooling you have flexibility. So, if something's not working, just throw it out, try something else. Don't feel pressure to replicate public school. You don't have to do that. Children are sponges, they're ready to learn, and in my opinion, they can learn with much less in terms of formal hours of schooling, much, much less than is needed in public school. And then you just do a lot of the informal stuff to make sure they're getting their hours. And the informal stuff actually, in my opinion, winds up being more valuable because it's more relatable, it's in context, and it's gets them great life experience. Thank you so much, bro. My girls are crushing now. Yeah, I mean, that's what the homeschool community does. We crush. Started project-based learning. 3 are growing a new garden. 1 taking photo class from your link. Oh, fantastic. So, yeah. And that's what it's all about. Yesterday, my episode was on, if you don't know how to get started with unschooling, give your children projects. Let them do the projects, and then through the projects, kind of start guiding them in terms of other things they can do. So like if they're into art, give them an art-related project, and then start building from there. Like, oh, you really like painting, and you really like painting, and you've done some beautiful work. Why don't you make video recordings and make a time-lapse video of how you're painting, of how you do your painting? Well, what's a time-lapse video? Oh, it's another beautiful form of art. It is? Yeah, let's learn about it. And then you take some courses in videography, like basic time-lapse videography, right? And you have them videotape their painting, and then they can make cool videos with that, right? And you just do one thing after another in which you're implementing more and more skills. So follow the interest of your children. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't feel pressure to replicate public school at all. It sucks anyway. And even people that are like A students in public school, like an 18-year-old that has a 99 grade point average in the United States of America is still, for the most part, completely and utterly incapable, based on the system they want people to come through, of earning a living when they're 18 years old, like being independent, not from their parents or the government or corporations. Well, I mean, an 18-year-old that applies themselves enough to be an A student, right, have a 99 GPA, I mean, they should be more than capable of doing a lot of things, right? But they're not. So we do things differently with homeschooling, and because of that, our children are better prepared for the real world. So my son is autistic. Is there any advice for this type of schooling? He is 3, so I got time to think. Well, you definitely want to talk to professionals and familiarize yourself with applied behavior analysis, right? And how that works and how it's related to children with autism. Now, homeschooling is advantageous in that you can completely customize their education throughout their schooling, and it could be one-on-one. And there are resources available like the Gemini homeschooling program, the oh God, what's the name of it? Memoria Press, Gemini Memoria Press. They market themselves as being designed, so they have curriculum designed for the autism population. But of course, when we're talking autism, we're talking about a very wide spectrum, right? There's very high functioning autism, and then there's, I don't like the term, what would be a lower functioning autism, and they would require a different type of education, right? So you got to know your child. You have to familiarize yourself with your different options. You have to definitely familiarize yourself with how autism is typically treated. Coley, could you just monitor what's happening out there?
Yeah.
I already spoke to him about not going near the garden or the trees.
I think we have a different definition of near.
Okay, I'm going.
I wish I wasn't on the stream for that. All right. It's unfortunate. Okay. All right. Nine times out of 10, a judge sides with a parent and wants to use public school. Yes, I have, in my experience from people I've spoken with, yeah, the judge usually sides with public school. Oh, you're going to the Mount Olive? Okay, all right. Babe, Bear Mini Mom is going to the Mount Olive Pickle Festival. Oh, you spoke with her? Oh, yeah, you're ahead of me. Seventh year homeschooling, and we love it. My twins have autism spectrum disorder, and unschooling has been the best, working at their pace. Yeah, Melissa, if you know any good resources specifically for that population, let me know, please, because I'll add it to the special education section. I have an associate's in psychology basic classes, but I have a handle on some of it. And you could do a lot of reading and learn a ton. My kids have ADHD as well as learning disabilities. Homeschooling was so hard during COVID. So especially if you're trying to get them to sit down and do a ton of formal book work, right? So, in my opinion, with the ADHD population, you want to do shorter segments of learning, more hands-on learning, and let them have breaks where they're able to, because they have energy, they need to get it out. And it's like when you have a little thing bouncing off the walls, like why try to contain it? Just kind of let it bounce off the walls and then work the way it works. Yeah, I think public school is terrible for everyone. Where am I located? Well, unfortunately, I get a lot of threats, so I'm in the South. Song of the South. Yeah, the level of threats I get consistently are, well, let's just say they don't speak kindly of the internet culture. We have no homeschool groups in my area. Sorry for asking. So one of the things we have in Homeschools Connected, and I can't guarantee that if you join, there'll be someone in your area because it's a big country, but one of the things we have in Homeschools Connected are state groups. So we have a group for every state: Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, you get it, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Oregon, right? We have all these state groups, and they allow people from each state to form relationships. So if you live in Oregon, you could form relationships with people in Oregon. And we've actually had, or if you're in Michigan, you could form relationships with people in Michigan and Ohio. And we've actually had people in our groups do meetups. So it's pretty cool what we have going on. And we have a great community of just in general of homeschool mothers and fathers. We have a primary chat where everyone's talking throughout the day, every day. It's really nice. And people are more than happy to help one another. And we have a pen pal program in which the children actually write each other back and forth. So we have a lot of good things going on with the community. And if you want to check that out, we'd love to have you. So for basic ABCs and pre-K stuff, all you need is if you go to ABC Jesus Loves Me, and they have literally everything you need in terms of lesson plans, and you can download them right off their website for free. So what we do is we are doing a year-long nature unit study in which the children in our community are doing this very comprehensive year-long unit in which they've been planting seeds, making their own little greenhouses, building garden boxes, learning about geography and mapping, studying soil biology, learning about the different garden bugs, the good bugs, the bad bugs. And over the course of the year, they're going to use the unit study to get their first entrepreneurial experience. It's project-based learning meets unschooling at a very we're doing it at a very big level. And then on top of that, I teach courses. So I teach courses on propaganda and the Bill of Rights for both the elementary school and middle school level students. And then for the high school level students, I teach a course on the media industrial complex, as well as we'll be doing the medical industrial complex next. So this is our first year doing curriculum, and it's been very successful thus far. But yeah, in terms of a pre-K child where you need curriculum for it, just go to ABC Jesus Loves Me or the Easy Peasy All-in-One Homeschool. They are completely free, and you could download literally everything you need right off of the internet. Yeah, our nature study has been awesome. It's just one thing after another that you could teach the children, and they could really learn a lot. The second one was the Easy Peasy All-in-One Homeschool, which is another. And another one is the Khan Academy, and they have an app, the Khan Academy app, which has a lot of really great games available. And keep in mind, with that young of an age, you're really showing a lot of formal work at all. With that young of an age, you look up Montessori. Try to set up your house a little Montessori. Let them learn through play. Let them learn through life. A lot of unschooling. Let them learn when they're in the kitchen and cooking. Let them learn when you're in the garden gardening. Like at that age, you want life to be a learning experience. So you don't have to do an overabundance of formal work. Yeah, hands-on learning is everyday life. So anyway, for anyone that's interested in what we do, you can find our stuff at www.classicallearner.com. You'll see Homeschools Connected. That's our private homeschool group. And if you use the promotion code FREEDOM, all lowercase, it is $10 a month. Yeah, so I do my best to teach everyone how to teach. So, we do a lot of talks on unschooling and the different things people can do. And we have so many members of our community that their children are doing really cool, hey, Foster Bear, really cool entrepreneurial type stuff with the unschooling everyone's doing. So, we're creating a really good culture, and we're only growing from here. So, it's been very exciting thus far. We don't. We're just trying to get communication down, and he's loving ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. That's his first W. I've been wanting to give up lately because I feel like I'm not doing enough. Yeah, that's one of the things people run into because they see that in public schools there'll be 6 hours of 6, 7 hours of formal education, and people feel, well, am I matching that? Like, I can't do 6 hours. Well, the truth is, you're able to give your children one-on-one instruction that you're able to take advantage of teachable moments that public schools aren't, and you don't have to replicate what they're doing. And you definitely want to cover the subject matter in general to make sure that when standardized tests come, that your child is familiar with these different things. But your child has an advantage just by being home because, once, like when I started this, that once he learns math, like addition, you don't have to do addition for 3 months. If he gets it after 1 week, you can just move on. And if it takes him longer to get multiplication, well, then you can take longer doing multiplication. Don't feel pressure to replicate public school. A lot of people feel that, and what they find in the long run when you talk to veteran homeschoolers is it's exactly not doing that which will give you an advantage. Sorry, my dog's barking. Hey, Aubrey. She's so cute. I love her. All right. She's just crawling down the hallway screaming. Ah! Oh, W was his first word. Okay. My daughter is 2, and she can count to 15 and can recognize most letters and knows almost all her colors. She talks in almost complete sentences. I thought I wasn't doing enough, but it seems I am. Yeah, and if your child's not doing that, don't worry. Like, children learn at their own pace. Just create a culture in your home that learning is important. Yeah, just keep a language-rich environment and try to do as many fun games as you can. And if your child's nonverbal, don't do the say this, say this, say this, say this. Like, if they could say it, or they wanted to say it, they would say it. So usually what happens a lot with parents is they'll be like, little Johnny, say this, say car, say car. And what happens is the children just get frustrated and even become aversive to speaking, or it affects them in, maybe ways you don't want it to affect them. So just keep a language-rich environment. Just be rich in your language. Play a lot of music. Sing songs as a family. And when your child's ready, they'll jump in. And if you need extra advice, get a consultation with a speech-language pathologist. I know a lot about this stuff. Not only do I have a degree in special education, but my mother and my sister are both speech-language pathologists. So just from being around them so much in my life, I've learned a lot about speech development. Now, if your child's not speaking, I would advise that you even get an evaluation by a speech-language pathologist. If your child's over 3, you could do that directly through the school district. If your child's under 3, you could do that through the early intervention program in the state that you live. And the reason I say that is maybe you want the services, maybe you don't, but a speech-language pathologist could tell you if your child has something like apraxia of speech, which is a big word, not scary. Don't worry if your child has apraxia. But if your child did have apraxia of speech, or if a child did, that just means they have difficulty with motor planning. So they might know what they want to say, but can't figure out the proper way to move their lips. So for children like that, they might need something called prompt therapy. And what prompt therapy is when you're making a certain sound, you have to use certain muscles. So for the m sound, mom, right? The therapist will take the finger, and put it on the lip. Do the m, let me feel it, mom, right? And that's prompt therapy. So you want to make sure there's nothing underlying like apraxia of speech, but the truth of the matter is, and this might not be popular in like the early intervention circles, but there are plenty of children that don't speak until they're 4 years old, and then they talk up a storm, right? So children learn at a different pace, and just make sure you look into it. You know what's going on with your child, and you get whatever appropriate help is necessary, but don't feel an overabundance of pressure, and don't worry, oh my God, my child's not speaking. 99% of people speak, right? And your child will likely take off with speech. So never a dull moment. Yeah, 6 hours of busy work, right? Terrible. Thanks, I'm going to do this today as soon as I'm home. Thank you, I'm really trying. I don't want to give up. Yeah, just, if anything, take a step back. Like, take a step back, evaluate what's working, what's not working, and then maybe even write out a schedule. But just know it's a very common thing for homeschool parents to question, am I doing enough? Because you can't possibly replicate, I mean, you could, but 6 hours a day of sitting down and doing book work, and that's not even effective. Like, public school students, they're not educating them so that they're actually capable of being successful in the world. I lose my patience quick at times. Yeah, I think my most common prayer is praying for patience, because I also lack patience at times. School keeps them busy instead of actually teaching. This is the reason I want to join the group. Having other parents to talk to. Yeah, we have a great community of parents. The one thing I've worked on as a parent is to not compare children. It's hard, yeah. Parents can be their own worst critics, absolutely. I know I can. I've worked on that negative thinking. And it's very natural to compare children. Like, little Matthew was walking at 8 months, and Susie is still not walking at 13 months. But it's like, that's still within a range of normal development, and, little Susie will walk, right? So don't be too hard on yourself. Parents talking is absolutely necessary and my favorite part of the group. Yeah, it's so funny because when I made Homeschools Connected, you never know, like, you have one vision in your mind and then the way events play out, it might turn into something else. And we're building out curriculum, but what we've really become is a community. Like, we're a homeschool community and we're a great community. And I love that we help each other with education, but at this point it's become where, like, we're just having talks about life and we talk about the world and things that are going on in the world. And it's like it's such a breath of fresh air that people are respectful of one another. People are very high consciousness. Everyone's not trolling everyone else. And it's just a really great environment we've created. And that's like, you guys created that. Like, I created a platform, and then I kind of put myself out there as a beacon, reaching out to people, and the people that it's attracted have been amazing. So we're doing very good things. And I think the support and reassurance would be beneficial. Rachel, that is most of us. We lean on each other. These books seem great. We figure out what works, 100% community. I also like the idea that this is so wholesome. The values and ideals are closer to mine than public school. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, why would anyone send their children to a school that has antithetical values to their own? Like, I would send my child to school. Like, I'm not totally against school. In fact, I let my son attend a Sunday class at the church I go to, because that's obviously the church I go to. Like, it's in accordance with my values, right? But people send their children to public school and they teach stuff that is so out of line with the average person's values that it's mind-boggling. But people are so detached from taking personal responsibility that they're like, well, who's going to educate my child? I can't. And it's like, man, I would let a drunken pig educate my child before some of these indoctrinators and the things that they try to teach children. So it's like, man, don't ever let anyone not in alignment with your values educate your children. That's... what platform homeschools connected. You can find it at www.classicallearner.com. And if you sign up, use the discount code FREEDOM, all lowercase letters, and it's $10 a month. We have all found each other and have similar views. I think for many people, either don't have an option or they are so programmed to do it. Yeah, well, it's hard to break cultural norms. And like everyone is a slave to the culture they grow up in, whether they know it or not, because it affects the way they think, the perspective through which they view the world. Right? Like the lens through which you view the world is very different than the lens through which someone who grew up in Afghanistan views the world. And because of that, we're all in some way confined by our culture. Right? So what happens is as a lot of people start to see problems within their own culture and start to do things differently or rebel against that culture in little ways or big ways, that is very jarring or threatening to people. That these are the people you look at and typically people would say, oh, look at them, they're sheep. Oh, look at them, they're brainwashed. Well, I mean, everyone's just at a different level of awakening and consciousness. And as you start to change your frequency or raise your level of consciousness, one of the challenges that people run into is finding people that are on that same level of consciousness. And it's been nice for myself and for our homeschool community that we have a group of people that are very open to things in the world, but yet come from a very moral, traditionalist, American type of worldview. And it's just it's a good thing, and we're going to keep doing it. We are like-minded people who support each other, not just in our likeness, but also in our differences. Right. As we have said, we won't always agree, but it's about love and support and respect, I would add. Like the other day in the chat, because there's people from different worldviews, there's Christian people that come from different denominations and different understandings of the world, and they were actually having a debate in theology, which I, for one, had no interest in joining the theology debate, but that's fine that everyone wanted to have the conversation, and everyone was so respectful of one another, and they voiced their opinion and why they think things, and they shared links that they think people should watch, but overall, everyone was respectful, and that's the only rule we have in our community. Respect one another, and everything else will fall into place. Right, and we're all trying to break the cycle for our children, and we're doing that by homeschooling. Yeah, schools have educated for years, and it clearly hasn't been going well. All right, Aubs. Aubrey's been, her new thing the last 2 weeks is she's walking. So now she's walking up a storm, and it's hilarious. Want to say hi, Papa B? Give me a pound. You better not leave me hanging. Boom.
And she's also a baby, and she can still walk. But she's not grown up yet. She's still grabby fingers.
She's still grabby fingers. Brady, how does she learn to walk?
I teach her.
You taught her?
Yeah.
That's great that you taught
my baby to walk. I teach my baby to walk from myself.
That's great that you taught baby Aubrey to walk. And you did it with example, right? Because you showed really good leadership by showing Aubrey how to walk, right? You gave her an example to follow.
Don't hook your eye out.
Right? And then baby Aubrey did lots of practice. Lots of practice. I mean, Brady was hilarious. When Brady was, I don't know exactly, like between 11 and 13 months old, at one point I looked up and he was walking down the hallway with a trumpet, playing a trumpet. I don't even know how you were playing a trumpet at that age, but it was just hilarious. I'll never forget that. I looked up in the hallway and Brady just walked by me like, ooh. But you didn't know how to walk when you were a baby either. And you did a lot of practice.
Why?
Well, you did a lot of practice, and now not only do you walk, but you are putting on that flip show you were showing me last night where you're doing all those flips.
Why?
And, by the way, Brady's been playing baseball, and he has been doing such listening to his coaches that now pretty much every time he gets to the plate, he hits the ball hard. You know, he might miss it a time or two, but he thinks about his stance and just boom! Boom, shakalaka. But then I run Brady down and tag him with the ball because I'm faster than you. Boom, 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 boom. All right, you might be faster based on that running. It's close. Brady, everyone says you're crushing.
Who's talking to you?
There's people that have their own phones that are watching the stream. Hi, Aubrey. You want to come up? Oh, watch your head. Yeah, I know. That didn't look pleasant. All right, I got you. Bada boom. You see the... Who's that? Who is that? Is that baby Aubrey? Say no, Dad. That is a picture, a video of baby Aubrey. Bum, bum, bum. Here, Brady, come on. Come in for the family portrait. So now I got my little minions. Although I can't see the chat. But I got the little minions here, and they're crushing together. All right, so let's see. That's amazing. I was lucky enough to have a good education. But my son pointed out, but my mom pointed out the propaganda. All right. All right, double team cuteness. Give me some space here. I need space. The space before the Indian tickle monster comes out. I am the tickle monster. I will tickle you. I will tickle you. All right. So anyway, I think I'm going to call that a stream. So www.classicallearner.com. Homeschool's connected. If you're interested in joining, use the discount code FREEDOM, all lowercase, $10 a month. So, all right, guys, this has been a lot of fun, but I've got to run. We got our Bill of Rights class tomorrow. So,
The subscribe button.
if you do sign up, tell him, Brady. It's a little ham sandwich. It's a little ham sandwich. So if you do sign up, class is tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. and we're going to learn about the American Revolution and the Bill of Rights. All right, Brady, give him a 10 count. Count to 10. That's how you count to 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah!
You got a lot of energy. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thanks, Melissa.